All right, so today we are going to be designing a very simple flyer. All right, so this is the details of the flyer. This is everything we'll be needing for the flyer. So this is the text file. This text file contains the details of the flyer, right? So this is the details of the flyer. This is all we need for the flyer, right? And these are the resources that we will most likely be needing. So I'll just come here and click on new file. So I'll create a new file. So the size, I'll make sure it's I'll use 1080 by 1080 pixels. All right, the resolution I would leave it at 300, and then I'll click on create. All right, so this is our workspace, this is our canvas, right? So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up all our resources. So this is the logo of the organization. So I'm just going to select the image, the logo. I'll just drag them and drop them in Photoshop. So this is the image, this is the logo, and then this is a question mark. All right, so why did I download the question mark? I don't need the exclamation, it's just the question mark. Why did I download it? Of course, if you see the content here, you have something like need a professional website. So I actually loved the 3D effect on this question mark, so that was why I decided to download it. And then of course, this is the icon for a website. They didn't include their contact details, just the website, so that's why I chose these two. So I'll reduce the image. Let's bring it somewhere around here. Just reduce the image and leave it there for now. All right, so the logo is white, of course, and then this is the color, is a blue color. So what I'll do is I would use a blue background so that the logo can be visible, right? So I'll open a new layer here. So this is the main background layer. I will unlock it here by clicking on this key icon here, and then I'll click on delete. I'll just delete it. I'm going to open a new layer. All right, I'm going to come here and click on solid color, or I'll use gradient. So I would want to use a gradient. So let's just click on gradient. So let's see. So since it's blue, let's look around blue and see which color we can get. So gradients, you can style them the way you want, right? If you are not okay with it, you can style them the way you want it to be. Okay, I think I'm okay with this, so I'm just going to click OK. We'll adjust it later, and then click OK. So the logo, I will reduce it to be very small. It should not be so big. I'll reduce it to be very small, then I'll move it to the middle here. So of course, come here, click on these three dots, make sure the align to is aligned to canvas, and then click on this one to align it to the center of the canvas, right? So the next thing now will be to bring all of our right up, but the background is covering our image, so we have to come here and drag the background beneath our image. So we'll drag it down so the image comes first. So I'm just going to move this to the corner and then reduce the size. I'll just reduce the size and then leave it there for now. So we'll go ahead and bring our text. So the main heading will be this. This should be what will be taking more attention. So I'll copy that, click on the text icon here, and then I would type this. So I'll just copy and paste it. So need a professional website. All right, so it's very big, so I will reduce the size. I will reduce the size. Okay, so this should be the heading of the website. I think we should make our image a little bit bigger. All right, so the image is just the lady pressing her phone. Reduce this website icon, make it small. Okay, I think that's okay. Then the image, we can just adjust it and reduce the size a little more. Okay, let's just take it down and increase it. Okay, so I think this is okay. So this is the main heading of the website, so I would want it to be very big. So what I would do is I want to break them into three different texts, because I want to be able to adjust it so that it will be aligned, because the professional is longer than the website, and the website should be what should be taking more attention. So I'll duplicate the text into 3 places, right? So the first one will just be the first line, so I'll delete every other thing from it. All right, then the next one, I'll select the text by double clicking, then I'll leave only professional, so I'll delete this text, and then I'll delete website, so just professional left, and then the last one will just be website. All right, so we have this. All right, so we have this. So I'm just going to increase the size of websites and make it very big. Should be more pronounced. So I'll make it big, bring it here. So the question mark here, I don't need it because that was why we downloaded this. So I'm just going to select it and delete the question mark. Sorry, I'll delete the question mark. Okay, so we're going to move this up. So what I want is, I don't want this other exclamation mark. So what I'll do is I'll come here and use any of my selection tool, and then I'll select this. So you must make sure that layer is selected. Of course, that's the layer selected. So of course, because it's a smart object, I can't really do anything to it. So what I can do is I'll just create it as a clipping mask. So if I come here, I can come and create a mask here. All right, I'll add a layer mask. So I'll click on layer mask. So you see that instead of removing this part, it added this part. So what do I do? With this layer mask selected, I will press Ctrl I on my keyboard to invert it. Right, Ctrl I. So if I press Ctrl I, you see that the selection was inverted. So the other one was taken off. So the other one is masked. If I right click and disable the layer mask, you see that it's showing. All right. So let's undo that. If I right click and disable, not delete, if I disable it, you see that it's showing now. If I enable it again, you see that it's gone. So we need just a question mark. I'm going to reduce the size and bring it somewhere around here. Okay, so let's just leave it there for now. So I'll move this up, move this one up. Okay, so need A should also come down a little. So the website should be bold. Okay, so this one can go up and stay like that. So I think everything is too big. We'll just reduce the size a little, just a little. Okay, so that's for that. Then let's just go ahead and bring the other text. So we have all of these text here, step 1 and all of that. So I'll just copy each of these steps. So this step 1, I'll just cut it off, use my text tool, and then I'll click here and then paste. So the font is too big, so I'll just select it and reduce the font, make it 10 pixels. Then I'm going to the font size. I'm going to change the font to Montserrat. So I'll select Montserrat from the font panel on top here, Montserrat. Okay, so the text alignment, I would want it to be aligned at the left. So on top, I'll just select left alignment. So I have something like this. So we have, of course, we have other steps. So we'll just do for one and then we'll duplicate. So I want the step to be a little bit different. So I'm just going to, first of all, I'm going to change the font. Instead of using Montserrat regular, I'll use semi bold, or let's use medium. We'll use medium. Okay, so this is good. So I'll duplicate the text. All right, so I'll delete this. I'll just leave step 1 there because I want to do something to it. I'll leave step 1, and then the other one I'll delete this and just leave this here. All right, so I'm going to draw a box. I'll come here and click on my rectangle tool, and then I'll draw a box around. Okay, so I'll draw a box. So this box I've drawn from my properties panel here. I'll set the stroke to be none, so I'll just select this and click on none, so there will be no stroke. While for the fill, I would like to use a color that is close to this. So let's see what this orange will give to us. Okay, so I think this orange is very close to this question mark, so it's perfect. So I'll use that color. I'll zoom in so much and then give it border radius. So if you zoom in, you will see these 4 points. So just click and drag it. It will add border radius to the item. Click and drag it will add border radius to the item. So I think this is okay. So I'll just move it down the layer. So I'll just drag it down so that I can see through it. I can see the step 1 above it. Alright, so step 1, I will want it to be in caps. I'll just type step 1 in caps. So we have this. So I can select the two of them, the box and the step 1. I'll come here, make sure align to is on align to selection. Then I'll align it at the center and then vertically too and horizontally. So they are well aligned now, perfectly aligned. So I'll just zoom out and then I'm going to reduce the size. I think it's too big. I'm just going to reduce the size. I'm going to reduce the size. Okay, so step 1, let's move it down. So I'll select the two of them and align them again. Okay, so sorry about that. I think we should leave it on the left. Just align it at the middle and that's all. Okay, so I'll select the two of them and reduce the font size. Reduce the font size. I think this should be okay. I think this should be okay. Alright, so the border radius is too much, so I'm just going to zoom in again, select the second one and reduce it. Okay, let's reduce it a little more. Okay, so I think this is perfect. So I'm going to select the text itself and the box. Alright, so let me just align this. I'll select the two of them and then align them at the left. Alright, so now they are aligned. So I'll just go ahead and select everything. So after I've selected everything, I'll duplicate it. So I'll duplicate this for step 2 and also duplicate it for step 3. I'll also duplicate it for step 3. Alright, so it's as if the step didn't follow, so I've just duplicate this one. Okay, it's not, it actually did, but it's going behind the, let's see if we can get it. Okay, so it didn't. So what we'll do is we'll just duplicate it by pressing Ctrl J on our keyboard and then we'll drag it to the top and then we'll move it down. Alright, so move it down. Alright, so this one will be step 2. So this will be step 2 and then this one, the last one, will be step 3. So I'll make this last one step 3. So I'll just come to my notepad file and copy the content. So I'll delete this. So this is step 2. Select your desired design. So I'll come here, select this entire text and then paste it there. Select your desired design and then the last one, the last step, contact us to deliver in 24 hours. Alright, it's a very simple flyer and straight to the point. I'll paste this text here. Alright, so 24 hours. Okay, so I'll select that. So now we are done with that. The next thing is just to add and we build all kinds of websites at an affordable rate. So I'll just copy that and then paste it. So I'm going to duplicate this text here, just duplicate it by pressing Alt and dragging down, and then I'll double click, then paste what I copied. Alright, so let's just break it into 2 lines. So let's break it into 2 lines. So now it's in 2 lines, but you see that the line spacing is very big. So how do I reduce the line spacing? With your text tool selected, if you come to the right hand panel here, if you scroll down, alright, scroll down, you will see different options. So sometimes you can click on this icon, this 3 icon here, to expand all of them. So you have different options here. So for this first one here, if I change the size, let's say I change it to 10 points, you see that it's affecting the line spacing. So I can use my arrow key on my keyboard to increase it. or reduce it. You can also type any value of your choice. So in this case, we would want to reduce it, so we'll reduce it. So that's the space between each of the line. If it is the space between each of the text, the next one you have here, you can increase. So you see that we're increasing it, is spreading the text out, but we don't need it, so we'll set it back to 0 and then press enter. So this is what we need. We're going to make the fonts to be a little bit bold, so let's just use them bold so that it will stand out. Make it bold so that it will stand out, and then reduce the size. We'll just reduce the size a little. Okay. All right, so the next thing will just be to add the website link. So I'll reduce this icon, move it here, and then come here and copy the link to the website. Just cut it off, duplicate this same text again. Then having duplicated it, I'll paste the text there. I'll paste codebase.net. All right, so I would want to make this part to be different. All right, so what can I do? So I can just draw a box, draw a rectangle here, draw a rectangle here. So rectangle, zoom in. I always like having the corners of my rectangles to be rounded, so I will always give it a border radius. And then I'm going to change the color to white, and then the stroke, I'll set the stroke to none, so I'll just come and select none. All right, so this circle, I'm just going to move it down so that it comes below the text. So in the layers panel, I'll just be adjusting it down so that it goes below. Okay, so let's move it up a bit. So for our text here, we have to now change the color. So I'll select the text and change the color to black. So let's just select black color and click OK. All right, so the icon, we can decide to change the color, but because the icon is an image, it will be quite difficult to change the color. So what we can do is we can add a color overlay. So I will come here on my layers panel on the right here. I will click on this icon here. You will see different options. So I will click on solid color. So if I click on solid color, you see that it's bringing up this dialog box and it's bringing this color. So I will select orange and then I'll click OK. So you see that the color is affecting the entire website, but this is not what we need. So what will I do? I'll right click on this color and say it should be a clipping mask, meaning it should be clipped to the layer underneath it. So I'll create a clipping mask. So you see that now it's only affecting the layer that is directly above. So this is directly above the image. This color is directly above the image, so it's only affecting this image. We turn it off, you see the original color of the image. Turn it back on, you see the new color. So I'm just going to adjust this. All right, so I'm just going to adjust the icon. So zoom in carefully, let's see if we can. All right, so I will lock the layer so that I can select the icon. So just move it out a bit, reduce the size. Let's reduce the size a bit, move it up. All right, so the text, we're going to reduce the, I think it's too bold, so I'll just select it and give it semi. Let's just use medium. Can use medium for it, and then increase it a little. Can increase it a little. All right, so let's say something like this. The text, this box, I'll just drag it down this way. All right, so I would like to add a shadow to the box just to make it to add contrast. I'll just, so to add a shadow, what I will do is I will double click on the layer. So if I double click on the layer, it will bring up the blending options. So if I come here and then double click on it, you open a dialog box, which is the blending options. To open up this dialog box, which is the blending options, right? Or you can right click on the layer and then click on the first option there, blending options. If you click on it, it will open up that box for you. All right, so this is the layer. So here you can click on drop shadow. So you see the effect of the drop shadow. You can manually adjust it the way you want it to be, the distance, the size, how you want it to be. You can just adjust it, right? So you can also change the angle and then adjust. So opacity, you can increase or decrease the opacity. So I think distance, let's move it a little bit. For the angle, you can just try around and see which one works best for you. All right, so I think this is okay, but I will have to reduce the distance. I will have to reduce the distance, and the opacity, I'll just reduce it a little. All right, so this is okay for us. The size, we can still reduce it. Okay, let's increase the size and click OK. So this is the blending options under. If you turn it off, you see the difference. Turn it back on, you see the big difference. So that's for that. So we've taken all the information we need for this website. All right, so we just have to put a few finishing touches to it, and that would be it. So I would select all of this text, all of this stuff here, and then I'll move it up a bit because it's too close to the bottom. And then I'll select just this part. I'll also move it up as well. All right, and then finally I will select this one. I'll just add space to it. All right, so we have something like this. Okay, so I think this is too close to the edge of the screen, so we'll just move them inside a bit. So just adjust them to the left hand side slightly. All right, so I haven't done this. We can draw a line. So you can right click on this rectangle tool and then click on line tool. So when you select line tool, you can click and drag over to this point here. So for your line tool, you can come here, change the stroke, the color of the stroke, use this color, and then you can put like 3 pixels here. You can change the value depending on what you want. So this is the stroke we have. I'll zoom in. Let's make it 2 pixels because 3 pixels looks too heavy. All right, so I think this is okay. So I'm just going to move it up a bit, and then that's it. So this text, I feel they are too jam-packed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them and space them. I'll select this first one, move it up. I'll select the second one and then also move it up. Just adjust it. All right, so I'll adjust it that way. Okay, so our design is almost done. So I don't like the way these things are standing very straight. So what I'm going to do is I'll just select the 3 of them. I'll select the 3 of them. In fact, including the icon, I'll just select all of them. So I'll click on the transform controls, which is I'll click on any of the edges surrounding them as though I want to reduce or increase the size, right? So with the transform control on now, I will then right click and say skew. All right, I'll right click on it and then I'll say skew. So if I click on skew, I can adjust the corners from the left or the right. So I want to adjust it from this point just to bend it a little. All right, to make it a little bit unique, make it unique a little. I'll just bend it something like this. All right, so I would increase the size and then bring it down, or increase the size, bring it down. All right, so the next thing I'll do is will be to add the shadow to it. So what I can do is that I can duplicate all of them by pressing Ctrl J, or I can just convert all of them to a smart object. All right, so that it will just be a single item. So I'll right click and then just say convert to smart object. So you see everything here now has been converted to a single item. If I turn it off, it goes off, turn it back on, it comes on. So I can just click and drag it, right? So on this smart object now, right click on blending options, and then when the dialog box comes up, all right, so this is the dialog box, I'll click on drop shadow. All right, so this is the shadow. So you can adjust the shadow to, okay, adjust it to what you need. The opacity, let's see the size. I don't want it to be so big, so I'll just reduce the size a little. And then the distance, the spread is too much. I just want it to be very mild. The opacity, I'll reduce it as well. All right, so we have something like this, and our design is almost done. So there was a pattern I downloaded. All right, so this is an image, it's a pattern, right? I will import it to our file. So this is how the pattern looks like. So I'll just increase the size so that it fills the entire workspace. All right, then I'll send it behind. So I'll send it behind, just above the background. So I'll change the blend mode so that we don't have to see these white lines. I just want to see how the pattern will appear. If it appears good, we leave it. If it doesn't, then we get rid of it. So I'll just change the blend mode. So I'll just keep trying any of the blend modes and see which of them would work best. All right, so this is divide. It's not so bad, but let's keep going and see. Let's keep going. Screen should work. Okay, this soft light. Soft light is still not bad. So let's just keep changing and see. All right, so this linear burn. I think I prefer linear burn. Okay, multiply is not also bad. Then color burn as well. Okay, so let's go with multiply. We'll go with multiply, but if it's too obvious, you can turn down the opacity. So you can just reduce the opacity. All right, so it's completely transparent now, so just increase it a little. All right, so this pattern has a way of making the design not look so empty. Right, so if you turn the pattern off, you see the difference. Turn it back on, you see the difference. Right, so the design is almost ready. One more thing I will do is to this background here. I don't think I'm very comfortable with it because the upper part of the background is too light and then the down part. So what I'm going to do is that to ensure that the design is matching with the logo very well, the colors used, I will come here and click on add layer, and then I'll add a solid color layer, and then I will select this particular color here and click OK. All right, so I'll make sure that that's the brand color. So I'll just move it down beneath the gradient layer. So I'll turn the gradient layer off and then see what we have. Turn it back on, see what we have. So the gradient layer, I still want to leave it, but I can still turn down the opacity, just make it a little bit transparent. So if you turn it off, you have this, turn it back on. All right, so I think this is cool. All right, so with this, our flyer is ready. You can just make one or two adjustments. All right, make one or two adjustments, adjust it to your taste based on what you want, and then you are done with the flyer. So basically I'm just going to try and adjust this text because I increase the size. So I'll just adjust it and then bring the icon closer. So I'll just bring the icon closer. Okay, then take this one as well, take it closer as well, and then maybe increase the size a little more. Okay, so with this we are done with our flyer. So you can just go ahead and export the flyer and save it to whatever format you want to save it to. All right, so that will be all for this class. See you in the next.